Attention viewers, this is a disclaimer. This is not going to be my normal audio in this video. This audio is going to be a bit janky, but all of the information will get across accurately and it will be explained fully. This is meant to be an informational video, and therefore there is no music. There is nothing but my voice telling you what you should be doing in MLB The Show 26 franchise mode. This is purely informational. Yes, it is long. It will be boring if you are not looking for this information, but if you are looking for it, it will be extremely informational. MLB The Show 26 franchise mode looks complicated, but it's actually really simple once you understand how all of the pieces connect. Today, I will be breaking down everything you need to know: contracts, budgets, scouting, drafting, trading, roster rules, how to build a dynasty from scratch. I've had plenty of friends, other sports gaming creators even, come to me asking, why did I lose this player? Why did my prospect disappear off my roster? Why did my budget evaporate so quickly? Or why did I go from 93 players on my roster down to 67 before I even know it? If those are questions you've had, they're going to get answered in this video. Franchise mode is one big loop, and I'm going to show you entirely how it works. In this video, you are going to learn about scouting, how to scout efficiently, avoid wasting your scouting days. You're going to learn drafting, how to draft for ceiling over floor, how to avoid busts, how to build a pipeline that feeds your roster, and how to draft for your team's timeline. You're going to learn player development, training, when to promote your players. What is the prospect promotion incentive and how do you get involved in it? You're going to learn about coaching staffs. What do I look for in a coaching staff? When to fire, when to hire. You're going to learn about free agency, when to offer a qualifying offer, what it even is, when you shouldn't offer it, how comp picks work, how to avoid losing your stars for absolutely nothing, and use free agency without crippling your budget. You're going to learn about renewable contracts. What are they? How long do they last, and how do you use them to your advantage? You're going to learn about arbitration. What is it? When does it become dangerous to you, and how to avoid overpaying and to save some money? You're going to learn about the 40-man and the Rule 5 draft. Who belongs on your 40-man? How do you avoid losing your young players, and how does the Rule 5 work, and how do you protect your future? And you're going to learn about trading, because in MLB The Show 26, trading is all new with a brand new trade hub. You're going to learn to trade based on your competitive window, build a roster that fits your timeline, and avoid a win now trap. When this video is over, you're not going to be confused while you're losing your prospect, having your players show up in free agency when you don't want them to, having disastrous and expensive arbitration hearings that kill your budget, or Rule 5 draft nightmares causing you to lose all of your young talent, and having wasted drafts with bad scouts. Did you know that my original name here on YouTube was Franchise Guy? Well, today, let the Franchise Guy, me, FG, show you how to take a confusing puzzle like MLB The Show franchise mode and have you mastering it and having a blast in no time. First, I'm going to show you how I set up my franchise. It doesn't really matter. You can use a different roster, but we're going to go ahead with the currently active roster. Now, if you go Streamline, they're going to take care of a lot of this stuff for you if that's really what you want to do. But if you want to learn to have a deep, involving franchise mode, we're going to go into full control today. It doesn't really matter what team you pick, but there's going to be a reason why I take the Toronto Blue Jays in this, so we'll do that. Here on this franchise screen, if you would like GM contracts, meaning that they'll evaluate you every 3 years and either let you sign back on with the team or you have to go somewhere else, that's fine. I prefer to turn this off and stay with the team I'm rebuilding until I'm done with them. But it can be kind of fun to get different offers for other teams if that's what you want to do. As we go down through this list, you are allowed to turn any of this stuff on that you would like to. They can control your roster for you or all of the above. I prefer not to let them do any of that. I put everything on manual. But of course, I'll explain it later. They did make it where you can go automatic on both arbitration and renewables. We'll talk about that again later. This is the custom game entry, and it takes you right to this. You can set when you'd like to enter games as you're simming, whether it's a very high importance or high importance. It'll let you know there in that right corner just how many games you can expect to be asked to enter if you'd like to. But for the purpose of this video, we're not trying to enter any games, so I'm going to put 0. We're going straight sim here. It doesn't really matter whether you start spring training or opening day. Some people want to start opening day. I will say base rosters are kind of messed up as to who is and isn't on the 40-man, who is and isn't in the major leagues when you hit regular season. So if you'd like to scrutinize a lot of things, and there are some things I'd like to show you before we get into the main points of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and go to spring training. All right, now this screen can be very confusing to a lot of people as well. There are contract extensions. If you'd like to extend somebody, Gosman's actually going to be a big part of this video, so we're going to leave him there. There is free agency. If you're having a bad team and you'd like to go pick up a couple of guys, there's some guys you can probably bring in. This is the brand new trade hub, and we're going to get to talking about that much later. Up top now, you have tasks, you have league, you have manager. If you go into the league, you get all the statistics and top prospects and things like that. If you go into the manager section, that's where your lineups, your rotation, your injured list, and your training, which we will be talking about a bit later, is. In front office, you have all of these options. There's the PPI list. We will be talking about the prospect promotion incentive eventually. Staff contracts, this is where you'll get your coach contracts. This is where you will also get your scouting contracts. These are going to be very important, and we're going to get to those really soon. However, I want to look at the roster real quick because this was the point of taking a spring training roster. As you can see, there are people like Lazaro Estrada who are 60 overall D potentials up in the major leagues. Want this guy on my 40-man roster. I am actually going to remove him from the 40-man roster, and what that does is it makes him pass through waivers, and if he clears waivers, he will go to AAA and no longer be on your 40-man roster. I'm okay with this because usually the computer is not going to take a 60 overall D potential player, because if they get him in waivers, they got to use him. Spencer Miles, this is a 55 overall D potential. Unfortunately, cannot move him down even through waivers because, see that little 5? He is a Rule 5 draft pick. But Rule 5 draft picks cannot be sent down. They have to stay on your major league roster. But Angel Bastardo can indeed get moved down, and we are going to remove him from the 40-man roster and clear him through waivers. I don't think a computer is going to take a 55 overall D potential. I could be wrong about that, but either way, I'm okay with it. That leaves a couple of spaces in my 40-man, as you can see, 38 guys on my 40-man, which means that if I wanted to go pick a guy up, I can now. We're going to get more into the 40-man, into the offseason, as we go through everything that needs to be done. You'll learn a lot, and you'll be able to take care of it on your own. First things first is scouting. So, like I said, there is staff contracts in this front office section. We're going to go in and we are going to look at our scouts. Now, there are 4 key ratings for every scout. Efficiency, which is how quickly the scout is going to finish their scouting report. So it'll affect the percentage that you're able to scout per week with that scout. Pitchers, obviously, how good they are at scouting or discovering pitchers. Discovery is how good they are at finding new players. Efficiency is not needed for discovery. And then there's position players, which is like pitchers. How good are they at scouting and discovering position players? So what I like to do is make sure that I have a scout that is terrific at discovery on both pitchers and position players. So we're going to look for one like that. I actually really like this scout right here, Michael Perigo. He might be a little overly expensive, but we're going to go ahead and sign him. Then I like to make sure I have a scout that is terrific at efficiency on position players. Here's a 95 efficiency, 91 position player. We are going to add him to our scouts. Here's a 95 efficiency, 91 position players. We are going to add him instead of Johnny Simmons. And then we just need to find a guy who is efficient on pitcher scouting. There's going to be anybody better than Dave Camp. 96 efficiency, 98 pitchers. Definitely going to bring him in over Fred Pollard. All right, we can't bring in Dave Camp because Michael Perigo is making too much money. I think we're going to redo the Michael Perigo scout, and we're going to make sure we can get Dave Camp because those two numbers are way too good. So let's re-look for a scout that is really good at discovery on both. You know what? Stephen Blank will do just fine with a 93, 96, and 86. That'll do. And we can afford him. There we go. So those will be our 3 scouts for this. You can do that yourself in your own franchise, and you should be able to now. Again, make sure you have efficiency on pitchers. Make sure you have efficiency on position players. And make sure you have discovery on both. That's going to be really largely important. The other rating efficiency does not matter on your Discover Scout. Now, I will say there's many ways to do this, and there's a bunch of other tutorials on YouTube on how to do the best scouting. But I will tell you that there are certain people that are going to give you the cheese on how to instantly discover a generational prospect. If you would to not have that ruined, this is the video for you. If you would like to have that ruined and how to find every generational prospect, then on to some other video because we have realistic franchises here and we want organic experiences. I don't want to know how to find every generational prospect. That's not what I'm here to do, to teach you how to play franchise mode. Okay, we are going to move ahead until the first scouting day, which is actually through spring training. So we're going to go ahead and sim right through this spring training junkie. Okay, now we're going to sim to the first point where we can actually do some scouting, and I can show you how I do mine. All right. So usually what is going to take place is you're going to have like 2 games or 3 games here after spring training. And then you're going to have the first full week. And after the first full week of games, that is when it will prompt you that now is the time for scouting. You're going to go into your scouting, and you've got the 3 things here. You can set your positional needs. It's just going to influence the recommended, and you can increase player interest for players who match your positional needs. Now, I usually don't even use this, to be honest with you, and you can still get the job done. But if you'd like to get a boost for certain positions, you go ahead and select this. So for the sake of argument, we will go ahead and just select all these infielders right here because that is where the Blue Jays are the worst. So you can kind of see it in action. So the Discovery Scout is going to be on Discovery all year long, and I'm going to start with pitchers in International. Always start with International. A lot of times West isn't even worth it and isn't going to give you much. So I usually don't use West for like outfielders or infielders. I'll still use it for pitchers because it'll still give you some, but we're trying not to waste scouting days here. There's an issue here. Scouting a position is usually beneficial, especially for starting pitching, but they have made it where you only get 10% per week now. So I don't know if it's totally worth it. But we will be using these scouts to scout prospects because that's going to be important for us. So we're going to start with our position player scout. We're going to go pick a position player. Now, obviously, we have the 29th pick. I don't expect Jesus Campaneris to be there for us at pick number 29. We're going to be looking for some potential draft steals. We're going to be looking for guys who might fall through the cracks and be available for us at the end of this first round. I feel like Hamby is a good shout here. We'll go ahead and try him. And then we are going to scout pitchers with our pitcher scout. And of course, we can't look at anything really early because this team just not going to be able to pick a guy really, really early. So let's look at some 18-year-olds at the back end here. How about Thomas Gimsey? All right, we have another day to set scouting assignments. You get to look. Obviously, we discovered 4 pitchers in the international realm. We'll go to the East now, and we'll keep looking at these guys. I don't think we know enough to really move on from them just yet, but if you think you do, you can always take them off and try to get some more prospects scouted out. But we're going to go ahead and continue on with this plan. Okay, back to scouting for week number 3. You see, we've gotten 100%. Hamby looks very good. He looks like he's going to be in the B potential range, and he looks like he should probably be like a 58 overall, 55 overall, worst maybe. Gimsey looks like he should be in the 80s of potential as well. So you kind of got to project where you think these guys might fall. But remember, if you don't full scout, that means you don't actually know. So full scout is where you're going to actually know the real ranges. If you don't full scout, it could be anything. All right, we're going to change Gimsey now. And we got to look at somebody down the line here. It's not going to be any of these guys. Now, a couple of them could fall through the cracks. You never know. This guy could fall all the way to the back, but I'd like to scout guys that I would prefer fall all the way to the back. And then we've got to go ahead and scout a positional player here. I've got to find out more about catcher. He's looking pretty good. We'll see. Never know. All right, we've made it to week number 4. We got about halfway on these guys. They both look pretty good, actually. They both look like they still could have potential. We are going to go ahead, and I'm going to save Pitcher West. I could always do that later if I want to, but we are going to move on to international catcher now. Catcher's really hard. You don't get a ton of catcher, so I might give up on that earlier than later. All right, week number 5 scouting, and Fully Love looks very shaky, very, very shaky. Ellie looks a little bit better, but they could still rob us with C potential, but his overall range looks pretty darn good. We're going to go ahead and try to find another here at the back end. Here's an 18-year-old starting pitcher that might be of use. We'll also go ahead and try to look. Ooh, here we go. This is now listen, just because it says 85 to 99, he is only 10% scouted. This is not guaranteed. So we do want to find out about him. And like I predicted, we have no catchers in the international realm. We will go ahead and look in the East, though. All right, scouting. There are no catchers in the East either. So we are going to go ahead and look in the Central. And there we go. It wasn't guaranteed, but this is a really, really good player here and somebody we could potentially look at with that first pick. I do indeed like him, and it only took a week to find out that he was that good. All right, Phelps looks really, really good. I almost want to look at him anyway, even though I do not think we have a shot. We're going to go ahead and look at a third baseman here, Mr. Martin, as Stratton is still getting scouted. All right, Stratton is full scouted now. He looks like he should be solid. That's somebody we absolutely could draft, as we finally found some catchers being in the Central. We're going to go look for international infielders now, and then we're going to change our starting pitcher, maybe to something we've discovered. Here we go. You do want to look at Discovery, guys. They could still rob you. Most of them are decent. You could trust your scouts. If I was going to pick a guy that was completely unscouted, I would prefer to go with my Discovery players, but it's not a guarantee. All right, week 8 of scouting, we discovered a couple of infielders. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. We are going to discover infielders in the East. Got a few weeks left. We're discovering all year. Bart is not my favorite prospect that I've looked at, that's for sure. Haywood's interesting. So I definitely want to know more about Haywood, because he looks like he could be one of those guys that is very high overall, but not very high potential. But he's a guy that could help instantly, and I want to show you a player like that. All right, scouting. We discovered some infielders in the East, which is good. We're going to look at outfielders in the international right now. Haywood. Yeah, this is an interesting player. He is probably going to be high 70s potential, high 60s overall. That's what I'm looking at here. Not going to be my favorite. Number one guy, I can't look at the number one. Here's a guy I want to look at. Fishman looks like he could be really good for the back end of round one. Now here, looking at a discovery prospect, he's pretty good. Probably going to be in the 80s of potential, low 60s, maybe high 50s. It's a solid player, but not entirely what we're looking for. There's some very, very, very tempting pitchers here, but I don't think we're going to get any of them. But I will look at Todd Lopez just because he is just so intriguing to me. All right, week number 10. We discovered some outfielders in the international realm. We'll go to the East, and I don't know enough about these guys yet to know. I like full scouts. Some people might do it a different way, and that's entirely fine. It is up to you how you scout. But I can tell you that you will get good draft classes doing it this way. Here's another player, mediocre potential with pretty darn good overall, actually. I really like Todd Lopez. I don't know if his potential is actually going to be in the B range, though, but I do like him. Okay, we're going to scout another pitcher. I don't know. I'm very, very tempted to scout some of these teen guys in this range, but I will go ahead and scout Blankenship just because he's another discovery guy. We are going to edit, and we're going to look at outfielders in the Central as we're in week number 11. All right, we discovered one outfield prospect in the Central. I don't believe I did Central infield, so we're going to do that as well. And Jay is looking like a really low overall player, but I got to keep going. Same thing with Blankenship. He's looking a little rough. I don't know that I really like Blankenship. Let me go ahead and, again, you know what? This might give you a good example as to what might happen if you don't full scout a guy. So I will go ahead and not full scout him, and we'll move on and look at somebody else. Okay, we scouted infielders. Now we can do the West. We only have a couple of weeks left. I don't think I did pitchers in the West, so I'm going to do that. We might get pitchers more than we might get position players. Carson, good overall. I really am not going to like his potential when I get him. So we're going to change prospect and try to find something more suitable. Waters, we got to leave. We got to learn more. All right, so we did pitchers in the West. Now, I will say, this scout is really, really good. So we technically could get some scouting with this scout. But I am going to just scout starting pitchers internationally and just get some extra scouting on every pitcher. Waters is actually really good. And if he's available, probably ends up being our pick at that. I would like to... Ooh, he's injured. He could fall through the cracks. We're going to try Urbina, and I'm not really loving Julian Arroyo, so I'd like to get somebody else in there. Try Takahashi. Why not? Now, I am scouting a lot of people first round projected, but I'm really looking to see who we might pick in that first round. It's very, very important when you pick as these Blue Jays do. Probably for your rebuild, you're not going to end up picking that low, because you're going to take more of a rebuild team than the Blue Jays. I just want to give you a more all-around variety of things that happen in franchise, and the Blue Jays could probably do that. But it is time to go to the draft. That is going to take us to this draft portion, so let's see. Now, here's where you can add prospects to your draft board that you may or may not be interested in. I usually don't, and I usually skip to the draft, but you have to really have some knowledge of what scouting you've done, because after that first round, the clock moves really fast and there is no way to pause it. So you really need to know who you're going after. And in order to do that, you could add it here, but I'm a little superstitious and I believe the computer knows what you're looking at when you put things on here. And I find that all of my players disappear when they're on here. So I try not to do that, but you know, you may not be as superstitious as I am. So what we'll do is we'll throw some guys on here. We are going to add Waters to the draft queue. I really like Waters. We'll add Stratton. I believe he's a player we could select. Same thing with Gimsey. Gimsey's not bad either. As far as the rest, it's a little tougher. I will add Rodriguez. I'm adding guys that I've full scouted that I think are good. And I'm also going to add some other players as I find them. We went ahead and added Hill because I actually really like Hill. I don't know why he got so low on the draft, but I like him. Here's another one, Kohler. I'll add, even though we didn't scout him, but he looks really, really good. And it could be wrong because we didn't full scout him. So it absolutely could be a smokescreen, and we could get screwed there. All right, there's not a lot of other people I really want to add going through, but I will add my not ranked Sean Grady, who looks like he's really good. I will add this closer. There's a ton of closers in the draft, so I usually don't scout them. You can usually find a good one. Chauncey Clark looks like he could be okay. I'm not going to add him, though, because I'd rather go with the sure thing that we had before. You never know. We're picking so far back in the draft, having been a World Series team last year, that it's going to really be tough to pick up a lot of good prospects, but we're going to have the best draft we possibly can here. So we have a big board. Let's go in. All right, we're ready to start the draft. Now, it's going to show you the first 3 picks no matter what. You got to watch. Number 2 player, didn't bother scouting him. Probably going to be good. Second pick, number 4, 6 player, he was going to be good. Didn't bother with him either. And the number 3 pick is the number 1 rated guy, Jesus Campaneris. I'm interested to see how good these guys actually are, but we didn't do it. So now we're going to sim to our pick. A few guys left, but we still have a couple guys on our draft board here to look at. So Brett Stratton, really liked him. See, I don't really like the screen from here as much. Not ranked 11th. Here he is 4th. I would rather view them, but again, look at the timer. You only have so much time to view them. Stratton is pretty good. Rodriguez, I'd rather take the higher upside of Stratton over Rodriguez right now. But there's Blankenship. I don't like him as much. They did take the guy that I wanted. Wow, the position player is gone already. And it didn't even get to our pick. Who took that guy? It was Pete Hill. He went the pick in front. You see, this is why I don't add things to my draft board. I know, superstition. But ranked 30th on our board, 34th on the MLB board, gone at 28. So we're going to have to pivot. Probably going to be between Stratton, Rodriguez, and Kohler. Look one more time. We got Stratton, Rodriguez. There he is. We didn't scout him. I'm not going to go with him. I'm not going to go with a guy I didn't scout. I'm going to take something I trust. And what I trust is Stratton. Stratton's going to be the pick here. I've got to trust in it. I got to hope he's in the 80s in potential and hopefully lower 60s overall at least. All right, at our next pick, we got a couple of guys still available. Rodriguez and Grady. So starting pitcher Rodriguez, there he is. He's a not ranked. Grady is a second baseman, another not ranked, but more a sure thing to me. And we'd be picking him in the exact spot we think we should at pick 78. I'm going to go Grady just because it is a position player, and I have more value in those. There's plenty of pitchers, and pitchers will get traded to you, no problem. Position players, a little harder. All right, Rodriguez is still left on the board. He's still there. We got a shot at him. I mean, we might as well take him. So we got 3 guys off of our draft board, but now you see we only have a minute to look. We have nobody. One guy we scouted, and he's not that good, James O. So most of our scouted guys are gone. We're going to have to take lucky dips from here on out, which stinks. That means 3 picks are going to have to be complete luck if we get them right. You got to look at the overall and potential ranges, see what you're really comfortable with. And for me, there's not a whole lot I'm comfortable with here. These are the only people we know. And to be honest, I don't really like where we're at. But we're going to go ahead and take a chance. We got to take some chances. We're going to take... The best thing to take a chance with is relievers. You're not going to hit a lot, but you need relievers in the game, and there's a lot of really bad ones in the game. So it's good to take a chance on relievers, because at worst, you'll probably end up with some C potential relievers that can fill your minor leagues instead of the D potentials that a lot of teams start with. All right, we're going to take the chance on James O. I mean, I don't really like a lot of things that are there. We're going to have to go ahead and take the chance in the 5th round and maybe trust a little bit of our scouting, maybe too much. All right, to the final pick where there's very, very bare bones. I mean, there's us and the Dodgers left, so there's really not going to be a lot to pick from. And there really isn't. As you can tell, there's like 3 players I can pick. Look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and take my discovery prospect. When in doubt, take the discovery guy over the guys that have been left there by the computer that they know about for sure. That could still not work, but we're going to do what we do. Now, we're going to get into another important part that goes along with the draft, and that is signing your picks. Some people have trouble with this. I go through and sign these picks with you. There we go. Today is a day to sign picks. So you go in and sign picks. What I like to do first is look for anybody who's over a 50 motivation, which is the minimum threshold to be able to offer them a contract in the first place. There's no one else over 50. And I like to go ahead and offer the guys that are over 50. And as you see, the money you give brings the motivation up. His slot value is $1 million. We're going to offer less, and he is going to take it because his motivation was so high. That helps get money for other people who might be pains in the asses. Now, James O, he's probably not very good. We're going to get a little over slot value, and he went ahead and he took it. Now, if you're wondering where is this man looking at slot value, I will show you the next time I'm able to do this. But I'm going to go ahead and add the two lowest, not these. I'm going to add the two lowest. And the reason I'm going to do that is I'll show you. If I add this guy in, I only get 3% motivation and 2% motivation. If I get rid of him, I get 5% and 3%. So that'll bring Kinder up over 40. That'll bring VR into the mid 40s. And we're probably going to have to do that for a few times. Every 2 days is a day to sign draft picks. So now we go back in and you see, you got 41 and 44. And I'm going to have to do it again. There we go. It's another day to sign draft picks. And now we're up in the higher 40s. Now I can go in ahead and add Stratton. And I'm going to put Stratton in the front so that he gets the 3 motivation. You get a 2 and you get a 1. I'm going to go ahead and move him back. There we go. So now he'll be at 47, he'll be at 48, and he'll be at 48. Got to get those motivations up. It is important. Otherwise, you cannot offer a contract if they're under 50. We're going to do the same thing here again with these players. You also get some scouting every week for guys that you didn't have scouted, so you can tell if they're actual doggy-do or not. Okay, here is a day to sign pick. VR in the front, please. All right, now we can offer to our first pick, Stratton. And unfortunately, if you lower it, his motivation goes down. Now, his slot value is 319. We're going to offer the 356. He said, no, it's not good enough. This guy's slot value is 311. I offered a little more than that, and he went ahead and signed. He kind of stinks, though. Rodriguez needs to get moved to the front of the line, Stratton to the back of the line. That's how we're going to get what we need here. Now, you will, during these picks, run into the trade deadline, and we'll go over some things. All right. Offering Stratton the max. He said no. We're going to have to wait another week. Del VR at a 534 slot value. Going to offer 552. He declined. We're going to have to wait another day. Okay, trades are getting made as we go ahead to the signing picks. Here we go. Now everybody's ready. 722 slot value. I'll give him 735. He said no. Here's a 534 slot value. I'm going to give him 603. He said no. And then we've got Stratton. I'm giving him max money again. He said no. So what I'm going to do, I actually really like Del VR now. He actually looks really, really good. I don't know if I like Rodriguez as much. We'll leave them all on, but I'm going to put Stratton in the front. I want him to get the 3% motivation. I want Del VR to get the 2 because it's probably going to be signed pick deadline in a couple of days. But this is the trade deadline, and unfortunately, I've waited too long to show you how trading works, so I'm actually going to show it to you in the off season. Forgive me, if that makes sense. I'm worried about draft right now. This is the draft section. All right. So the deadline to sign picks is here, and if we don't sign them, they could be in a future draft. You never know. But we're going to give max to Stratton, and he's going to sign. We get our first round pick. That's huge. We needed it. LVR. All right. We have money. We have $1.24 million. His slot value is 722. What's the LVR's? 534. All right. We're going to give him 501. That's give 62 motivation. He should sign. No, he didn't sign. All right, we didn't get Del VR. He might be in a future draft class. You never know. He could always come back. All right, so we're just going to max out Rodriguez. He declined too. And that can happen. Unfortunately, that's why it means a lot to draft guys that have high motivation. I didn't do that. So there you go. Shows you some of the dangers that you go through. Unfortunately, when you draft so many good players, the game does try to find a way to screw you up along the way. It's okay. You're going to get more hits than not. All right. Now, some people have already asked this. If you sim the very day after the signing picks deadline, there will be a little view draft picks right here at the bottom of your screen, and you get to go ahead and look at them. And as you can see, wow, we got lucky on Stratton. He is a 90 potential, 64 overall. That's actually really, really good for drafting in the 29th overall pick. And we got Grady, who is a 92 potential, 59 overall. So a couple of A potentials at the top. Unfortunately, we don't get to see what Rodriguez and Del VR are, and those are the other two guys I was pretty confident in. James O, not great, 78 potential, but he is a 68 overall, so he is a guy that if you were to maybe take like the Rockies, he could be in your rotation in a year or two because they're so bad at pitching. And then Kinder, he was a complete waste of time, and we kind of knew that. There was only a few players available, and he unfortunately was one of them. But if we go ahead and look at some of the players, the White Sox took Howie Hitchcock. He was worse than the player we took in the first round, okay? CJ Fishman, this guy's actually bad. Jesus Campaneris, there you go. That's what he ended up being. Pretty bad. Again, you gotta full scout guys because the scouted potentials lie if you don't really scout them. And Pete Hill is the guy that I wanted, and a 66 with 94 potential. He's pretty darn good, Mr. Pete Hill. But he's old. Roger Waters, another guy I had scouted and really liked. Remember him. He is a 69 with 95 potential. That's pretty solid. There's Thomas Gimsey. I liked him too. 62 overall, 89 potential. And Richard Rosales was the Rays pick. We didn't even bother. But he's actually worse than what we ended up with too. Ended up with 2 A's. So again, I don't have the cheesiest method to guarantee that all of these players are going to be in the 90s potential. There are some people out there that can give you that guide if that's really what you want to do and you want to really cheese your way through a rebuild of all amazing players. Trust me, it's out there. You're not going to get that here. I do things a little more organically, and I want to fail. I want to make some mistakes because that gives those players an opportunity to have a storyline of redemption. A storyline for somebody like James O to be useful and be a role player on a championship team. Okay, so that's going to lead us into some player development. So, in order to develop players that you're picking up, you need to train them correctly. So you're going to go into this manager tab, and then you're going to go over to training. Here is your training. All right, they've changed this a little bit. Now, what I will say is that every single pitcher in your organization should be on pitching coach session. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting everybody on pitching coach session? Well, pitching coach session is going to give you hits per 9, Ks per 9, control, and homers per 9. It used to give you walks per 9, but there is no more walks per 9 in the game. Walks per 9 is now kind of attributed with control. So they put control in this away, breaking it away from velocity and break, which used to be in the bullpen session. It used to give you control, velocity, break, the 3 big things. Now it no longer gives you control, and control is in the pitching coach session, which makes pitching coach session even more the thing to use. The only time that I would not use pitching coach session, and believe me, this is a very, very rare case that I would not use pitching coach session. But the only time that I would not use pitching coach session is if I had a closer who already had really good per 9 ratings and he needed clutch because he was blowing saves and whatnot. So in this example, the per 9s here actually are pretty good other than the homer per 9. And you see his clutch is only 63. So that is a guy that I would put on pitch clutch because he is a solid closer if it wasn't for his bad clutch. Okay. Everybody else, I would be really trying to put on pitching coach session. Brendan Little is actually a really good clutch closer, but he needs that control up. So pitching coach session is definitely the way to go for him. And Chase Lee is never going to make it as a closer. Probably better off just changing him to a reliever because 32 pitch clutch and these per 9s, no sir. Now, as far as players are concerned, position players, catchers, you may want them to play some more defense and do block, pop, and fielding. You might want that to be a thing, but most of the time, I try to get hitters to hit. And for Alejandro Kirk, he's already got good contact, so he doesn't need the cages. He could use some weight room, get that power up, or vision discipline clutch. Really only his discipline's bad, so I'd put him on weight room. Guys like this, you just put everybody in the cages until they know how to hit. Because it is important to get that contact up. Now, some guys, once they already have contact like this, you want to put Vladdy in that weight room. He's already a really professional hitter. I want to put Yepes in that weight room, trying to see if I can come across the right kind of guy. Here's a guy right here. Pretty good contact. Ernie Clement. I want to get that discipline and that clutch up as high as I can, even though he'll probably never make it to where I really want it to be, but it's important. Here's a guy who can do a lot of things. Okamoto. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the hitting coach session as well. Very important to get that vision, discipline, and clutch rocking and rolling. So that is how guys are going to sim well. If you're doing a lot of sim, if you're doing a lot of played games, then yeah, you really just want that contact and power because everything else is up to you entirely. Here's a guy with 261s and Andres Jimenez, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in the weight room. We want him to get that power up. Davis Schneider can hit the long ball, but he can barely hit, so we're going to get him in those cages for sure. Dalton Varsho definitely needs vision, discipline, clutch, power for Miles Straw. All right. So that's how you would do that. Got to work on the right things with your players to train them the right way and bring them up the right way. Now, here's another thing to consider development-wise. When do you want to bring your players up? That is an important thing. Now, Ricky Tiedemann is pretty much the only real big prospect with Toronto at the moment, and he is on the 40-man roster. And where you want to go, they made this a lot harder, but you got to go all the way to the bottom to see this. He has a minor league option used. He has been brought down. So what has happened is in the offseason, they put him on the 40-man, probably because he was Rule 5 eligible. And they needed to make sure that they didn't lose him. So they put him on the 40-man roster, which instantly gives him a $780,000 contract. And then they used an option to bring him down from spring training, and he has not played a single game at the major league level. This is a perfect example. This is exactly what we need to use. So, with Ricky Tiedemann, if I brought him up right now, he would be considered a rookie. He would go to the prospect promotion incentive. He would be a candidate for that. But in order to get the prospect promotion incentive, you have to have a player who is rookie eligible and on the opening day roster and places high in either Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, or MVP. If they place in there, you get a draft pick. So that's really cool. But there's a lot to consider when you want to bring a player up. How do you get rookie status? Well, if you're brought up for the first time, obviously you're going to get rookie status. Now, the problem is if I bring Ricky Tiedemann up now and he pitches 50 innings this season, okay, he is going to lose his rookie status for the next season. So he would have to win Rookie of the Year this year. And the chances of doing that with a low overall player like this, bringing him up midway through the season, it's probably not going to happen. Now, we're going to show you a little something throughout this video. As we sim through here, we are going to get to September. All right, we are going to end up getting to September. Now you have to do call-ups. All right, September call-ups is a thing. Once September 1st rolls around, you'll notice on your roster screen that you have 26 people out of 28. So you have to bring up 2 extra guys. Well, one of those guys at this point can be Ricky Tiedemann. If you bring up a guy in September, it does not count towards their rookie status. So he would still be a rookie next year, even bringing him up right now to the major league team. You can bring him up, you can get him some experience. Okay, so we have Ricky Tiedemann up, and we are simming through the rest of the season, and nobody's making the playoffs, I don't think. These Blue Jays, no, 80 and 82. They did not make the postseason. All right, let's get a little fun. Let's see who wins the World Series. It is the Pirates. The Pirates defeated the Tigers in the World Series. MLB The Show, you be on one. All right, we'll advance to the offseason. There is a lot to show you here. This is huge. You get to go through retirements and look at everybody who retired, and you can look at the player card of everybody who retired and all of their stats, and it's really cool, but that's very simple. We'll just show you that. Then you get your Hall of Fame inductees, which of course Max Scherzer is an absolute GOAT, the offseason screen. Reviewing staff. Now, the coaching staff, I might be a bit strange when it comes to this stage. I consider where my team's at. Okay, for the Blue Jays, they're obviously a team that wants to win. I would absolutely fire Michael Montez. Why? Because he has -3 plate discipline, and that is horrible for your lineup. Now, Dominic Townsend, you lose 3 durability, but his pluses are so good. Stealing, fielding, speed, like, that's something Toronto could use. Now, -3 role in the pitching coach, like, this guy is absolute waste of time as a hitting coach. I'd fire him too. It all depends on where you are in your franchise. If you're a real bottom feeder to start off, you might keep these bad coaches and let them help your team lose while you're picking up draft picks and draft picks and draft picks. That could be very important. But in the case of Toronto, they want people who are actually competent. And here's a guy right here. Ronald Salas is a competent manager. Now, I like to overpay my staff because it ensures that they will sign with me, and it helps keep my budget realistic. So we're going to go ahead and offer Ronald Salas a cool $9 million a year, which will fill his meter up and hopefully get him to sign. Now, hitting coach, you want a guy that actually, is training guys the right thing here. I don't personally give 2 craps about bunting. If I can get power, plate discipline, and clutch, I want Ron Dixon. Who bunts anymore? Now, most of the time, when I offer any other coach that's not a manager, I just offer him 3 years, $6 million. That usually gets the job done. And then we need a farm director. And Dan Howell is looking pretty decent, actually. I mean, he helps bunting, but he helps K-9, stealing, and durability. And that'll offset the bad durability of the other coach that's on this roster. So we'll go ahead and offer him $6 million as well. You've done that. You've offered your coaches. You got to pay attention to the little messages that'll pop up. Okay, the other thing to worry about at this stage is the exclusive free agent negotiations. There are some qualified players here. Qualifying offers are a bit complicated. Players can only get offered qualifying offers once in their entire career. So Gausman, technically speaking, is a player that is going to exclusive free agency that you might want to offer a qualifying offer to because he is going to make a lot of money, but we can't offer it because Gausman's already been offered one in his career. However, we can offer guys like Dalton Varsho, who is about to make about $23.5 million a year and is probably going to leave the Blue Jays. We will tender him the qualifying offer because, as you see, 23.9 is not far off of 23.9, 23.4. We're going to go ahead and tender the qualifying offer. Now, what that is going to do is that means that if he does sign away our Blue Jays will receive a compensatory draft pick for him leaving. But you have to watch out, okay? While that's cool, and you might want to go through and offer anybody, including Yimi Garcia, a qualifying offer, to get a draft pick when he leaves, right? No, because what's going to happen is, as you can see, Yimi Garcia, even if you wanted to super overpay him, is about $11.5 million a year. If I offer him a qualifying offer of $23.9 million, you know what he's going to do? He's going to take it. And then you're going to have a $23.9 million player on your team. Dalton Varsho might take $23.9 million, but he might be worth $23.9 million. As a matter of fact, here is $23.9 million. Doesn't fill his circle, meaning that he's probably going to get about $25 million in free agency, 25.5, who knows? Let him go seek that out and take your draft pick. Same goes for Shane Bieber here. He's about a $23 million player. Shane Bieber is the guy you definitely want to tender a qualifying offer to. Now, if either of these players leave you in free agency, you get draft picks for them. Now, here's the other caveat to this, is that it might be a little savvy to also offer them a contract. If you want to keep Shane Bieber on your roster, and maybe you do, you can offer him a $23 million a year or a $24 million a year contract over the next 4 years. We're going to do that. We're going to offer him $24 million. Now we've qualified him and we've offered him a deal. That way he can either take our deal, take the qualifying offer, which he probably will not because we just offered him more for the next 4 years, or he can go sign somewhere else for even more money and we get a draft pick. That gives all of our options open. I'm not going to do that with Varsho because I just want to leave one of each so we can see what happens. Then you go through, also, some people have asked how you change uniforms or rebrand your team. That is here. You go ahead and change your team name, change your uniform, change your logo, change your stadium, all that stuff right there if that's what you want to do during. There you go. Ron Dixon has accepted our hitting coach offer. Dan Howell's accepted our farm director offer. But Ronald Salas has accepted the Rays offer as a manager, so you have to pay attention to these little things. And because he has accepted the Rays offer, that means we have to go in there and find a brand new head coach. We're going to take the plate vision, reaction, durability, and velocity here from Leonard Pino. And he is a bit of a cheaper coach, a little less experienced. So we're going to offer him $6.5 million a year. He comes a lot cheaper. That's what she said. And Kino does accept the manager offer. All right, last day to tender that qualifying offer. We're going to go ahead and go past it, and then you get the first day to offer free agent contracts. Okay, now we're going to do this. There may be some people, I'm going to go over this real quick. Here's free agency. There may be some people who wonder, why do you lose your draft picks? Well, remember those qualifying offers we just made. Tarek Skubal has a qualifying offer on him. The Tigers are going to get a draft pick, and you're going to lose one when you sign him. So beware of that. Ubich, another guy. You're going to lose a draft pick for getting him. You're going to lose a draft pick for getting Sale, Freddie Peralta. All of these guys have had qualifying offers made. You see it. Actually, you don't see it. Let me make you see it. There it is. Okay. There it is. Qualifying offers have been made on these guys. Right there. You will lose a draft pick signing any of those guys. But if you notice, there is Bieber. He has not accepted anything. So he hasn't accepted our contract or our qualifying offer. Here comes 3 areas where everybody loses their entire farm system. And its roster. We currently have 90 players. All right, we don't have to get rid of anybody. We currently have 90 players. We just need to keep the players that we have. Tendering contracts. That's what we're going to go through first. This is contract renewables. It is a scary one for most people, but these are extremely easy to understand. So anybody with 0 to 3 years of service time, they're going to be in this renewable phase of their contract. So let's look at Trey Savage. He has this year of renewable and the next year of renewable, which means that he's only been up in the major leagues for 1 season. Because once you bring a guy to the major leagues, he's going to have 3 renewable years, 3 arbitration years before they hit free agency. And as you can see, that's pretty well represented here. And what you want to do, this is what I do, okay? Yes, we're going to go over the elephant in the room. You can auto this year on that screen before you get into franchise that I showed you. You can go back into settings and do it too if you want to. However, I have not tested, do not know how well that works, and I am not co-signing for it. So what I like to do is I like to renew the contract. Now, if the guy has been in the majors like Trey Savage, you're not going to be able to move the money down under $780,000. That is the minimum major league contract. So you just go ahead and renew that. That's fine. You go ahead. Now he's back on the team. Look at that. He disappeared. He's gone. He's on our team. Nathan Lukes. Again, he is a major league player who made $800,000 last year, but I can actually pay him $780,000. So that's what we're going to do. I move the money down no matter what. $780,000. There's your minimum. And you give him the minimum. With renewable contracts, you're allowed to offer up to 80% of what they made the previous year. So you get a 20% discount unless they're already at the minimum. So here's a guy who wasn't at the minimum, and he's not currently on the major league roster, so he gets to go down to $640,000. We love it. Here's another one. We're going to go down to the minimum of $780,000. Juan Yepez. He not on the major league roster. We get to lose 20% of his contract down to $640,000. Ricky Tiedemann. He has been brought up, so he gets $780,000. Now, usually, here's a guy who's not on the major leagues and never has been. He's not on the 40-man or anything, and he gets like the $60,000 minor league contract. We can actually bring him down to $50,000, and I've seen it go as low as $40,000. All right? Now, we're going to show you the nightmare situation. I showed you how to make sure guys stay on the roster. Okay? You've got to go ahead and renew all these guys by December 2nd. All right. If there's guys you don't want to renew, that's fine. Don't do it. They will disappear. They will no longer be on your roster. Okay. The Ds, a lot of times I don't care about D potential players. Only in the beginning of franchises do I care about D potentials, because later on you are going to draft so many players better than this, especially with the system we just did, that you're not going to need any of these D potential guys. Now, usually I will bring in a D potential guy if he's really young, which this isn't showing me. There we go. He's 27. I would never want him, but there might be a young guy you might bring in. A 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, sure, why not? Maybe. We're going to show you the nightmare situation. I'm going to be like everybody who has questions and not sign the rest of these. We're going to watch our roster dwindle down from 90 players, okay? Because this is a franchise that I don't care about. Just an example for you guys. So that's renewable contracts. These guys are now all going to leave the roster because I have not tendered them. Another thing that you've been given the option to auto in this year's game is arbitration. Again, not co-signing for it. If you want to experiment with it, go ahead. Let me know if you lose any players. All right. However, arbitration is something that I don't think works realistically in the game anyway. But in real life, the player's going to submit what they think they're worth. The team's going to submit what they think the player is worth. They basically fight over it, and an arbiter chooses you win or you win, and they get paid one of those $2 amounts. All right. We just had a very, very famous arbitration in real baseball. Tarek Skubal just got a record $32 million arbitration after the Tigers had submitted a $19 million valuation as their offer. The previous record for arbitration was $19.75 million in 2015. A pitcher you may remember, David Price of the Boston Red Sox. Well, I remember him as a Boston Red Sox, but I believe he was a Ray at the time. Skubal is a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, and he's in the final year of his arbitration. This is it. He's going to hit free agency after this season, getting set for a free agent contract of way more than $32 million a year. Arbitration is 3 years long for these players. So when you're in the final year, that's when the arbiter is really going to give you the most. And unfortunately for Tigers, they were so cheap that they decided to offer a 2-time in a row Cy Young Award-winning pitcher less than the record of David Price's 19.75. Offering 19, they thought it was fair. If they had offered 21, they might have won. But they didn't. And boom, Eric Skubal's making $32 million on arbitration. A first-year arbitration guy right here, Addison Barger. I'm going to offer him exactly what he made. Got a 50-50 chance of winning that. You probably got a 75% chance of winning that because he's so early on in his career. It's supposed to go off of performance, and he did perform really well. 23 homers, let's see, a 790 OPS. His WAR wasn't that great, so they might turn around and actually let me win that. Now, Ernie Clement, he's actually in the second year of his arbitration, so he's going to make a little bit more. Ernie Clement is currently making $4 million. So they're probably going to give him more than $4.6 million. I only like to up it a little bit. I'll up it to $5 million. They're probably going to let him win for like $8 or $9 million, probably. Brandon Little is in the first year. So Brandon Little is just going to get what he made last year. I ain't going to worry about it. Davis Schneider is in the first year as well. We're going to go ahead and offer him what he made last year. Now, granted, if you don't do any of this, they will go to free agency. The other thing is this. A lot of people think that they can go in and just make an offer and say, okay, I'm making an offer. It's another free agent thing. They don't have to accept your offer. But if you offer them arbitration, you can still make them an offer if you'd like. Now, one thing to remember about this offer is it's a 5-year offer. So what you're doing when you do this is you're taking him out of arbitration, and then free agency. Some of these guys are having 4 years, which they're not really supposed to do. But I guess 4 years long here. And you are taking him through these 4 years, and 1 year free agency is all you're buying out of this. So you have to think if it's worth it for you. If you could get Barger for $800,000 this year, and you could get him for $1 million next year, and you could get him for $4 million the year after that, and then you get him for $9 million, let's just say, or $10 million. That means that you would have paid maybe like 19, 20-ish million over the length of the contract, plus his free agent season where he's probably going to make 18-ish million dollars. So maybe like 40 million, let's just say. Well, he wants 67. It's probably not going to be worth it. So you want to wait a little longer. Usually if you have a guy on the last year of his arbitration, like this man right here, Eric Lauer, could be a guy worth giving a contract to if you wanted to keep him. That's all I'm saying. If you wanted to. You could easily just go in here and say, all right, you're in your last year of arbitration, and I know this game's going to love you, so I'll give you $520 million. For $5,020,000, like he's going to make 5.9, that might be worth it to keep him on the roster. You know, we'll go ahead and offer him this and see if he stays. But you're allowed to do both. You're always allowed to do both. But you've got to offer arbitration or you're going to lose the player. We'll lose the player. Now, these I don't care about. Those are going to disappear. All right. Schneider, we already did. Lauer, Sanchez. All right. We'll do Nance, and that's probably it. $800,000. You're not worth much more than that as a 71 overall. So now we're going to lose these players too. On purpose. I'm going to show you how much of a disaster this can really be. So you have till November 23rd to do the arbitration. You have till December 2nd to tender any contracts, to do all that stuff right away because it's going to come up. But I like to do it all right away because then it'll take those things right out of the budget. When you tender all those contracts, you're going to lose few million, for your minor league players. And I like to know where my budget really stands. How much money do I really have to play with in free agency? Because what'll happen is you will go and start signing some free agency players, and then you'll tender your contracts too late, and then you'll be over budget. So we've gone over tendering, we've gone over arbitration, and now you have to select your 40-man roster. A lot of people get confused in this and what to do. We only have 33 players on the 40-man roster right now. What I like to do in this stage, and this is very simple, is sort here by the Rule 5 eligible players. You see all these yeses? This will tell you that these guys are Rule 5 eligible, meaning that if you do not put them on the 40-man, they will enter the Rule 5 draft pool. Okay, the Rule 5 draft, what that is it is a draft that is meant to help the worst teams in the league. So if you are the worst team in the league, you get to pick first in that Rule 5 draft, and so on. And you are allowed to take any player that a team doesn't protect. It's essentially like a mini expansion draft with no expansion team, if that makes sense. You are protecting the player by putting him on your 40-man. They can't take him then. But if you don't put him on the 40-man, he can be taken by a team. There's nobody extremely valuable here, but Yariel Rodriguez is a 73 overall reliever. Teams are going to want him, so we're going to put him on the 40-man. Bowden Francis, a 71 overall B potential. I don't really care how old he is. He's 30. Teams will take him. Teams will take him. Same thing with Juan Yepez being a 70 overall first baseman. Teams will take that. Now, there's a chance that they take these, but I'm willing to take that chance because you can't just put everybody on your 40-man. All right? And I like to leave some space because now I've got 36 guys on my 40-man. You can see 21. Oh, you cannot see, actually. Again, another situation where you can't see. All right, there we go. We're going to make it so you can see. I have 21, 14, and 1. So 21 in my major league are on the 40-man, 14 in my AAA are on the 40-man, and 1 in my AA are on the 40-man, which is 36 players. Now, remember when I showed you earlier that you can go through here, and if you've got a guy on the 40-man that, man, you really don't want him on the 40-man, like this Spencer Mild guy that I couldn't do before because he was a 5 guy, I can remove him and send him through waivers right now, and I don't think anybody's picking up a 57 overall D potential. I don't think that's happening. Most of these guys are going to be safe. Now, a lot of people will make a mistake in thinking that because we drafted an A potential Sean Grady that somebody's going to be able to steal them, but no, they're not going to be Rule 5 draft eligible for another couple of years after being drafted, so you don't have to worry about that. As you can see, the same as with James O. He is not eligible. Recent draft picks are not going to be eligible. So what you want to do is, again, just sort by that. That'll tell you who can really get selected in the Rule 5 draft. Alcala probably could be, and might actually be, as a reliever, because early in the game, there's not a lot of good relievers. But we'll go ahead and experiment with that. This page tries to help you out by telling you the best players that you could lose in the Rule 5 draft. So Josh Winkowski, Jorge Alcala, there you go. It's telling you Connor Siebold, Chad Dallas. These are the best players you could lose. Now, if you really don't want to lose them, put them on your 40-man. If you couldn't care less, like me, don't put them on the 40-man. You have till November 20th to put them on the 40-man, which is actually the first thing that pops up while you're in free agency. Now, we're going to go ahead and sim. I'm not going to sign any free agents. I want to see where our players go. Dalton Varsho declined. Shane Bieber declined. There you go. They've declined and decided to remain free agents. Last day to offer arbitration. We're done with that. All right, here we go. Here's the contract tendering. They're all going to be gone. Now, this is the horror story. Look how many players we have on our roster. There's the horror story, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you don't tender your contracts, when you don't get all of your arbitrations in. Make sure that you do those sections properly, or you will lose everything. Here we go, the Rule 5 draft. Rule 5 draft, we're here, and it doesn't look like anybody took our players, but as you can see, if you want to look at the type of players people take, a 72 D potential. has been taken. A 71C potential has been taken. A 70C and a 69B. They will absolutely take that, scoop that B up in like 2 seconds. We're going to skip our selection because I don't really care. Now, the way the Rule 5 works is if you took a player in round 1, you are given the option to take a player in round 2. But if you did not take a player in round 1, you then forfeit your chance to take a player in round 2, and so on and so forth. The Nationals, if they had taken a player in round 2, it would have went to a round 3. And if they had taken a player in round 3, it would have went to a round 4. So just so you know how that works. All right, I wanted to get to arbitration hearings. Here you go. Addison Barger, the panel sided with us, and as you can see, he's only getting $800,000. It doesn't matter what his overall was. He's in the first year of arbitration, and he doesn't get anything. Here's Jesus Sanchez, also sided with us. They thought that me giving him $7.1 million was enough. Ernie Clement sided with Clement on this one. He's going to make $9.3 million. That's a pretty big contract. And Tommy Nance, they have sided with us. He's only going to make $800K. Davis Schneider. Schneider won this one for $6.5 million. That's a good bit. Brendan Little, he has won for $2.2. He's probably worth it, though. So now with those players, you can truly see where your budget sits. We have $87 million available. What I really don't have is any minor league guys. That's really what happened is I've got all major league players now, and I really didn't sign any of these minor leaguers, so we'll just go through. I'll go through and fill it out later. Everybody, Shane Bieber has signed a contract with the Athletics. He is there for 4 years at $23.9 million a year. I believe I offered him more, but he decided to stay a free agent. So there you go. Bieber going back to Cali. And Dalton Varsho is a Kansas City Royal for the price of $23.6 million a year. Thought I offered him more than that as well, but I guess he wanted to go to Kansas City, the Wisconsin boy, back to the Midwest. There'd be 2 draft picks coming in. We'll double check that. I went ahead and scoured free agency and just put enough guys in here to help fill the roster out. So now you see between exclusive free agents, contract renewables, arbitration, and the 40-man roster, leading into that Rule 5 draft, that's where a lot of casual players who don't understand the inner workings of the mode just yet are going to lose a good portion of their players, leading into a nightmarish roster size and leaving themselves devoid of prospects. Don't let that be you. Now you have the methods to keep your roster safe from the chaos. I'm going to sim to the regular season here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this trade hub. We're just going to show you. The trade hub will show you right on the very front of the screen the trade overview, which will tell you about bidding wars, or it'll tell you about where you might be able to get cheaper prices on players at what position. Right now, it's saying that center field bidding wars would lead to high prices and catcher bidding wars would lead to high prices. So if you need a catcher or a center fielder, you're probably going to have to pay through the nose for it. There is a rumor section here which tells you who's actively looking to trade for what now and what exactly do they want. But you have to be careful because there could be lies in here. Smoke screens, there are fog of war, which I kind of quite like. You can add up to 20 players to your trade block. I'm going to go ahead and get untouchables. You could add up to 20 guys that the computer cannot offer for no matter what. And we're going to go ahead and put those top 5 guys on there. They cannot have them. You will not receive a trade offer with guys included. I also want to add Stratton, who would be a huge piece if you ever drafted a guy like that. You would never want to get rid of them. And Sean Grady. Those guys are off limits. There you go. And they show up there. They are untouchable. Nobody will come calling for those players. You could add up to 4 trade targets, so players that you want from other teams, but beware, other teams also have untouchables. So Gunnar Henderson, not gettable in this game. You can't have him. Garrett Crochet, you can't have him. You can have Ranger Suarez for the right price, or Jarren Duran, who just so happens to be coming up on his final year of arbitration. Now, let me explain this in a little bit. If you go ahead and trade for Jarren Duran right now is the best time to go ahead and get him if you're going to get him. Because you get him for this season on $22.8 million, and then next year he's going to hit arbitration. He's going to make a lot more money. But next year is where you get a chance to choose. You getting that second year is huge. A lot of teams in real life love trading for guys who are about to be in their last year of arbitration the following year. You're not just trading for a rental here, you're trading for a potential draft pick as well. If you turn around and you get Jarren Duran at the trade deadline to try to make a move towards the playoff, and it works out and you win your World Series, next year, you have the option of trading him again at the deadline to get prospects. Now, this is the great debate. Do you trade him to get prospects before he reaches free agency? Or is it more for you, instead of taking a couple of a B or a C potential prospect from some other team, is it more worth it for you to hang on to him through the end of the year and give him that qualifying offer that he probably has never had, because Jarren Duran came up from the minors and been with the Red Sox his whole career? So he's never had a qualifying offer. You know that because he's coming out of arbitration. That's why teams love trading for guys out of arbitration. He couldn't have had a qualifying offer because he's never had a free agent contract. So that means that you'll be able to get a draft pick for it. You now have his rights. If you trade for a guy who is a true rental entering free agency, if you trade for Jarren Duran, not in this season, but in next season, when he's in his final year of arbitration and he's about to become a free agent, if you trade for him mid-season, you will not get a draft pick if he leaves. That is the great debate between rental and final year, 2 years arbitration left, or 1.5 years arbitration left. A trade for Duran right now, because you get so much more. You might give up a couple B potential prospects, but you'll get a draft pick where you might draft an A potential prospect. And then at that point, you kind of recoup the value that you traded him to get. And then you still have him for the rental. It's almost like renting him for free. That could be worth it. That is smart baseball and smart business. So Jarren Duran might be a guy that is perfect to throw on your trade targets list. And you want to look for people like that. You do not want to bring in guys like Ranger Suarez, who are 31 years old already, on a big contract for a long time. The game wants to get rid of those huge contracts, but you should not want to pick up Cody Bellinger's contract. You should not want to pick up Carlos Rodon's contract. That is not smart baseball. But you go out and you get the guys that you think are going to make your team win. Olson Montgomery, you're not able to get, as you shouldn't be. Let's be honest. Joe Ryan is about to hit free agency. Joe Ryan could be a really solid pickup here because he is in the final year of his arbitration, and you will have exclusive negotiating rights with him, but you're not going to be able to get a draft pick for him. But you'll be able to negotiate with him first, and he's an available 96 overall pitcher that the Twins aren't planning on paying and might take a couple of prospects. So maybe you put him on there. But there you go. That is how that works. And then you can also put your positions of need in here that you're going to prioritize bringing in via trade. That's how it works. What I want to do is give you an overview. Let's just say we go to the Red Sox and we want to try to get Jarren. And we are going to go ahead and offer them Anthony Santander back with a couple of prospects. But prospects that I don't care as much about. We will give them James O, which might have a lot of value coming out of the draft. And we'll give him this Boston Barrow guy. Let's see if they like that. They're going to consider, and we're going to get an answer back pretty soon. All right, we reviewed your offer, but ultimately chose not to move forward at this time. So they don't really like it. As a matter of fact, they don't like it at all. So we're going to try again. Oh, he is now not touchable. Wow, he has been put on the untouchables list. They didn't like the trade so much that they threw him on the untouchables list. That can happen. Mason Miller. He's got a couple of years of arbitration left. Maybe we'll trade for Mason Miller. Let's see. Closers aren't the best to do this with. Let's try something else. All right, as you can see here, you do want to check your scouts year in and year out. These are not the ratings we had last year. This guy, his position players and efficiency have both gotten worse. And this guy over here, his position player, we don't even have a pitcher's discoverer anymore, or pitcher scout anymore. So yeah, we need to check out the scouts every single year. You got to make sure you check them because the game will mess you up. Sometimes guys retire, they leave, and you got to constantly change it. So we need new efficiency pitchers and new efficiency position players. Here's an efficiency position player guy in McLean. I'll see if I can find a better one. Here's an efficiency pitcher, 95 and 90. So we'll go ahead and get him. Melanie, or her actually, Melanie Dietz. Good old Melanie. 94 efficiency on 91 position players. I actually like that better than McLean if we can afford it. There we go. We got Jules Robinson in there now. All right, we're going to change our Discovery Scout if we're allowed here, and I think we are. There we go. Step and blank. We're going to get Michael Perigo. He's the best in the business. Pitchers, Discovery, position players, all really high. So we have completely changed all 3 scouts now. Taking you through one more scouting, just because when we get to the draft, I want to show you guys if we got those 2 draft picks. The game just crashed. What the fuck? Well, I don't know that I'm going to get to show you if we got those draft picks, because I didn't save anything. Well, it crashed out. Here's the save file. It is February of 2026, which takes us all the way back to the beginning. So, unfortunately, I cannot show you right now. You're going to have to give me some time, and I'll see if I can get those picks back. Funny story, as I'm going through again to try to get to where we were, Pete Hill was available in the draft. So, I got him in the first round. Second time around, it is largely the same kind of draft, except this time we got Pete Hill, the 66 overall, 94 potential. We got a 60 overall, 83 potential starting pitcher, a 54 overall, 91 potential first baseman, so stacking up them first baseman, and a 52 overall, 87 potential reliever. That's Del VR. That's the guy that didn't want to sign, but this time I made sure he wanted to sign because I scouted him and got his motivation up, which is a strat you can use if you know you're going to want a guy. And then I just took a shot on 2 relief pitchers in the later rounds. They're bad. I kind of figured that they would be bad, but we knew that the first 4 picks are hit in the last draft, and we were only able to sign 2 of them. But this time we got 4 really good picks. And when you're drafting at pick number 29, that's enough. Now let me take you guys to see if we can go get those picks back. In our new universe, Dalton Varsho is a Cleveland Guardian for quite a bit more money than he went in our first run through. Shane Bieber is now a Milwaukee Brewer for less years and less money than he was before. Except this time, your boy's gonna save. We've got far different scouts than we had last year, so I'll just show you what the scouts are. We got Stowers, who is 85 discovery, 85 pitchers, 93 position players, and even 87 efficiency. So if I stop discovering, he can always help out with scouting. Then we've got Werner, who is 95 efficient on 91 position players. And we've got Melanie Dietz, who is 95 efficiency and 90 pitchers. So I think this is a good combo for us. Okay, so for those that want to see me go through all this, otherwise you can skip to the draft section, but we're going to go ahead and go through this one more time for y'all. We're going to be putting our discovery guy. I'm going to first put him on pitching internationally. We're going to scout position players here. And now we have the 23rd overall pick. We had a better pick before. This guy looks insane, though. I kind of just want to see how good he is. And then we also want to scout a pitcher that could fall to the back. We'll see. Maybe Dominic Rainey. Doubt it. All right, Rodriguez not as good as I thought he was going to be. We're going to go international or pitchers in the East now. And then we're actually going to, once this pitcher scout is done, we're going to do something a little. I'm also going to change the prospect here. We're going to look at this first baseman. He could be really amazing, even though we already have two of them. That first baseman is pretty good. I mean, really good. All right, we're going to change the pitcher to go to Central. And what we're going to do is actually not be looking at pitchers right now. We are going to scout the position. I just want to see how it works and show you guys how it works. So we're going to scout starting pitchers internationally because we've already done pitchers internationally. So we're going to look at starting pitchers internationally. And then we're going to go ahead and change the position player that we are scouting. And we're going to try this catcher because he looks too good to be true. That catcher is actually not too good to be true. He is a very good catcher. We are going to move on to scouting starting pitchers in the East, as that has already been run through. We are going to scout pitchers in the West because we're going to go heavy on pitcher here because we didn't get a lot of them in the last draft. Very good right fielder. We'll see if he's true. And he is pretty darn good. I mean, I'd select him if I could. All right, so now that we're done with pitchers, we are going to go outfield international. Now that we've done that, we are actually going to come off of this and start scouting some individual pitchers now. Now that we have some information on some guys, we can know who might be maybe a little bit better than we expect. There's actually a lot of starting pitchers in the Central, so I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and scout starting pitchers in the Central just for one more week because there could be some unexpected surprise here. Catchers, I found a catcher I like. I found a first baseman I like. I want to find other positions. I'm actually going to take a look at Oshiro here. He's looking pretty interesting to me, so we'll see if that works. All right, Oshiro could be interesting. We have scouted the Central starters, so now if I go through, I have more information on all the Central starters. They're up to about 20%. I do want to scout my not ranked, my discovery player there, and I'd like to edit. We didn't find any outfield internationally, so we're going to go ahead and go to the East, and we are rolling through May. Alejandro, rolling through May now. We get to go into scout week number 7, and the outfielders are almost done discovered. We got to go to the Central first. Oshiro, not as good as I would have wanted, but now we're actually going to use our position player scout to scout a position. Now, I am going to try to get an infielder here, a middle infielder. We're going to go second base internationally and see what we come up with. This is, again, taking a risk, but I want to show you guys how it could work for you if you choose to go that route. There's many different ways to scout. The be-all, end-all is not a thing. All right, we're going to bring in some infielders internationally. We have scouted 12 second basemen. I'm also going to scout shortstops internationally quick, and then we're going to keep looking for a starter here. As Jimenez actually looks pretty decent, I wouldn't take him early. I'm going to look at when I would take Tom Fink, as we are starting to run out of time, getting into June. All right, we've got international infield. We're going to go East infield. I've scouted shortstops internationally. I would like to scout left field. Actually, no. We're going to come off of it because we only have a few weeks left. We've got to go after individual guys. Let's see if we got anything that makes us weary here. Salas looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and try to finish Salas off, and we're going to finish Fink. Setting. Fink, actually pretty decent. Salas, you're taking a big chance taking Salas. Could be high C potential. Not sure that I love it. Where are we here? From position players. All right, third baseman. We have. Let's take a gamble on Gamble just because I like his name. And then we're going to go look for another starting pitcher that we can look at. Somebody we think maybe has a shot at being great. And, honestly, I think I'm done discovering. I don't want to discover anything just because I don't want to. You should be able to. You should be doing it, but I don't want to right now. Let's look at Pablo. Pablo Sanchez. I mean, he's got to be a GOAT, right? Pablo Sanchez? If they made Pablo Sanchez bad, I'm going to be very upset, but we've got to go another week. All right, there's 5 left for Pablo. Gamble was a gamble, and he's not very good. So there was another player there that I wanted to look at. I'm actually going to look at Rand. He looks too good to be true. Freddie Trainer, actually, good. He is currently the #1 player on our draft board. So if we could go ahead and grab him. I want to look at Marbury because I'm expecting some decent draft picks here. I don't see where my picks are just yet. I'm actually going to use the positional needs too. I'm going to go ahead and put starting pitcher, and I'm going to go ahead and put shortstop and center field. I'm going to use that. I'm going to take shortstop away and put relief pitcher. I'm going to use that to my advantage later in the draft for like motivations when I just take shots on people. All right, so Randolph's actually really good. Marbury actually is solid. We would definitely take him. And Pablo Sanchez, you're taking a little bit of a chance, but I'd be willing to. I doubt they're going to leave that number 3 guy to the back half of the draft. But you know what? I feel like I got to give it a shot. I need to know, right? Don't we need to know? I think we need about Souza. And then we're looking at position players here, and I really trying to find an outfielder, but Alejandro Guillen just looks way too good. All right, we got 100% on Souza. You're taking a huge chance on him, but there's a chance that he's potential 70-something overall. Armis looks incredible. I don't think there's a shot in blue perfect hell he's there for us later in this draft. I got to take a look at Johnny Bow, and I want to go a little bit deeper in to my board. We're going to go look at Waylon Cock. I'd be whaling my cock too. What? Let's go to the draft. Yes, you can add prospects. I'm going to do it my way and just skip right to the draft. We're going to do this thing rapid fire, but I want to see where my picks are at before we start the draft. All right, here we go. This is the big moment. 23rd, obviously. Prospect promotion incentive, I did not promote any. Competitive balance, we weren't shitty, so we're not going to get that. We got our regular round 2 pick. Competitive balance B, we did not get. Compensatory round, there it is, 2 picks for us in the comp round. So what we get is we get them between rounds 2 and 3 because those players were not upper echelon players. I get later comp picks. If they had been like 90 plus overalls, they probably would have been between rounds 1 and 2. There's prospect promotion incentive. So again, if you bring up a guy that places in Rookie of the Year, I'm assuming Nolan McLean probably did it for the Mets, which is why they have that pick. The competitive balance pick is to keep balance between the small market teams and big market teams. So that's why you're going to see all these small market teams in here. Milwaukee, Seattle, Detroit, Cincinnati, Miami, Tampa, Oakland, Sacramento, and Minnesota in there for comp balance. Comp balance A and B is a thing in real life where all of these teams will flip-flop. So next year, you'll see these teams get picks in front. They'll be in round A comp instead of round B comp. So for competitive balance, but if this game would work. There you go. Cleveland, Kansas City, Arizona, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and Colorado are also in there. So those teams would go into A next year. These teams would go into B. It's just a cyclical thing of rotating every year. So that's how that works. And then obviously the comp round for losing free agents. I mean, we get 2. Detroit gets 2. They lost Scooball and they didn't get like an earlier comp pick. I'm a little surprised. But I guess in this game, they don't really do it realistically. So we get this comp. We get 2 comp picks, which are just after the second round. So we're going to get a chance to get some really good players here. We get our round 1. We get our round 2. We get 2 comp picks. We get 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 8 picks in this draft. Let's see what we can do with it. First overall pick goes Armis, and I knew we weren't going to have a single shot in hell at him. Second overall pick goes Johnny Rodriguez. I really liked him, but he wasn't going to be my first pick. Third overall pick is Larry Singleton, and I like Larry Singleton, even though he had first base already. All right, let's sim to our pick. As we sim, we see that Miguel Jimenez is there. I don't go with not ranked players first. I try to take the best player that I can get. I didn't scout Fred Witt, but he could be amazing. You never know. He really could be good, but he could also be terrible. So I'm not interested in taking a chance like that. Mora, you're taking a chance with that for sure. Taking a chance with any of this, but we don't have full scouts except in the beginning, and we have Michael Salas full scout. You're taking a chance on that. I don't really want to. Salas really wants to sign Johnny Bow. I had been looking at him, I thought, for multiple weeks. I do like him, but again, he's a not ranked player. I'd rather go with somebody like Chauncey Gear here. At least have 15%. Rodriguez. Oh, man, I'd be taking a shot no matter what, but I'll take Waylon Cock because I'll be my cock all day. I mean, it could be a horrible pick, and I could have just totally screwed up. But now I'm going to dip into these not ranked players, and we're just going to roll all off. Like Manuel Jimenez, welcome to the team. And then we get 2 picks back to back. Tom Fink, welcome to the team. All right, and then we're also going to take Johnny Bow. Johnny Bow, welcome to the team. This is going to be a big pitcher draft because I did a lot of pitcher scouting. That's why you want to keep your scouting a little even, you know? All right, what do we have scouted here? Not a ton. I do like Von Dean. Otherwise, we don't have much. I'll take the shot on Von Dean. We'll take a shot on another pitcher. Now we really don't got much. Now we're going to take our lucky dips big time. We're going to try this Mackenzie Ventura. It could be way off, but he does have the 75.99. We'll see. And we're going to sim to round 5, where they want us to take this Connolly man. And I might actually have to do it, because I don't see a whole lot of tight range. I like to look for tight ranges at the end, and that's where I usually take a lot of chances. But ranges that are actually good. See, this 59 to 93, I can't take a shot on that. 66 to 80 just isn't good enough to take a shot on. You got to take a shot on these guys where there's possible 90s. You know you're not going to get that. You're probably going to get 70s. But I guess we'll take the shot on the relief pitcher. Like I said, there's never a bad chance on a relief pitcher. It's usually going to at least make your roster. Oh boy. These are not the relief pitchers I want to be selecting. But of course, we're picking really, really late in the final round, and you're not going to find really things there. I know he's going to be bad as far as potential, but he could have high overall. So we're going to take Mariano Taveras as a guy who could be in the majors sooner than later. Deadline assigned picks, we don't care. We want to see what the picks look like, and they're really good. They're all really good. Look at all these picks. Just the 2 lucky dip relievers at the end are bad, and they're in the 50s. See potential. You'll take that for your minor league programs. 50 C potential relievers. You're going to have a million of those. However, let's take a deeper look here. Waylon Makak, 64 overall, 86 potential. Not bad for drafting as late as we did. 62 overall, 85 potential for Jimenez. 64 overall, 85 potential for Fink. A 59 overall, 87 potential for Bo. 58 overall, 83 potential for Dean. And Ventura's a 48, but he is 88 potential. So this is 6 valuable prospects to your organization, and if we're being realistic, it was Fink and it was Bo that we got for not getting Varsho and Bieber back. So Varsho and Bieber were traded for a 64.85 and a 59.87. If that is worth it to you, then you keep them and you let them go to free agency on a qualifying offer. And you go and you use your draft picks for good. If that's not worth it for you, see if you can get more at the trade deadline. See if you can trade those guys away before you get to that point and get those prospects that you may or may not have been able to draft had you waited. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways. It's really, really fun in MLB The Show franchise mode. Once you get to know the mode and you get to know the intricacies and you get to know exactly what you're doing, and you may need to watch this video a couple of times. I know I talk quickly, but I'm trying to get it done in like not 7-hour video. You know what I mean? So if you want to see more, please follow me on Twitch at Franchise Gaming TTV over on Twitch. We do a lot of MLB The Show franchise and MLB The Show in general over there. Get to see me do what I do right here in this video. You'll get to see it more often than not. So come on through, check that out. It's a fun time. Now that you understand each piece of this franchise mode and how they all intertwine and connect, and they can really mess you up or they can really make you have fun, the mode is no longer complicated, or shouldn't be, and you're ready to build a dynasty. And coming soon is going to be episode 1 of my franchise mode here on the channel, so stick around because everything you just learned is really about to matter.